especially since, seeing that everybody in his team is on steroids, which means including him. So he
way responsible for the performance-enhancing drugs that are being used by fighters that fought in his gym. Specifically, off the top of my head, you have Canelo Alvarez. Canelo Alvarez had popped for clenbuterol.
And Canelo, man, I don't know if he's cheating.
What do you mean?
I feel like Canelo juices.
Boxing insiders are calling out Canelo Alvarez for possible steroid use. Before his fight with Terence Crawford, they're raising red flags about how fast he's packed on muscle. At his past failed drug tests, David Benavidez also stepped up, asking why Canelo keeps dodging him if he's really confident. He added that 5 people from Canelo's team have tested positive before, saying the whole camp looks suspicious, including Canelo himself. That's made many question what's really going on behind this high-stakes matchup.
Greatest Mexican boxing fights of all time, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So I feel like I'm 100% confident in myself. If Canelo was 100% confident in himself, I don't know why he wouldn't fight me, especially since, seeing that everybody in his team is on steroids, which means including him. So he never got off.
You think he's on steroids?
Of course. How
sure.
does 5?
You saw De La Hoya
How do 5 people out of your camp get tested positive for steroids?
Right.
You know what I mean? No, all those fucking dudes in that camp are dirty.
Yeah.
I seen Eddie Reynoso on my fight, so we made a joke. He said like he came to watch me the fight and shit.
So
and then they're like, "Oh, you think he's?" In my head, I'm like, "What do you think Eddie Reynoso's thinking about?" He's like, "Are we gonna fight David Benavidez after seeing this fight?" In his head, Eddie Reynoso's like, "Fuck no, we not fighting him."
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, honestly, I don't blame Canelo. It's fucked up because there's a lot of money.
It's not even about the money. It's not about the money.
Yeah, but okay,
100 million, dude. You kidding
The
me?
first step when you're a fucking warrior, bro, the only thing you think about is glory. I've never thought about money. I've been smart. I'm negotiating my shit, but it's always a prize, bro. It's always, if I go out there and beat Canelo, bro, I'm a legend. You know what I mean? That I'm gonna live forever in boxing as a legend. That means way more to me than any type of money.
And I think that separates you too, David. And I admire that shit about you. I was like that at one point. Now it's like, how much you giving me?
Yeah.
and not to just bypass him. Shout out to Morel as well.
Yeah, shout out to Morel.
Eddie Reynoso's gym is now under serious fire, with people claiming he's giving his fighters banned substances. This includes Canelo Alvarez, who trains there and has faced 2 drug-related scandals in the past. Critics are pointing out that several boxers from that same gym have failed drug tests, which raises big questions about the environment they're training in. As Canelo gets ready to face Terence Crawford, fans are asking how he's gaining size so quickly again without anyone raising alarms.
Addressed serious accusations about his gym. And the accusations are that people, or at least the implications are, that he is the one that is providing performance-enhancing drugs or is in some way responsible for the performance-enhancing drugs that are being used by fighters that fought in his gym. Specifically, off the top of my head, you have Canelo Alvarez. Canelo Alvarez had popped for clenbuterol 2 times. For Fahim Satur, I'll say that he did it 2 times, even though I think it was for the same fight. But Canelo Alvarez popped dirty for clenbuterol 2 times. You have Luis Nery, who had tested positive, but I think Luis Nery tested positive before he was with Eddie Reynoso. Then you have Ryan Garcia, who popped dirty after he left Eddie Reynoso and went over to Derek James. And then you have Oscar Valdez. Oscar Valdez popped dirty while he was with Eddie Reynoso, but at the time he was still allowed to fight. You also clearly see that you have an issue with the fight that's coming up with Canelo Alvarez and Terence Crawford, in that you have one guy that tested positive and you have another guy that looks like he's using in order to get up and continue to climb up weight classes. You know, at a certain point in time, and this is something that Rolly Romero had said, certain point in time, your body just doesn't do that. At a certain point in time, your body just doesn't do it. I'm 6'2", 200, and should weigh about 210. Closer to 250, but I should weigh about 210. I'm not going to get up. If I was 210 now at 50 years old, I'm not, if by 55 years old, I'm not, the only way I'm going to get up to 260 of muscle is if I'm juicing.
People watching Canelo's progress say it's nearly impossible to build that much muscle naturally in your 30s, yet his body looks way bulkier than before. This has only added to suspicions, especially since his coach Reynoso's gym has a bad history. Fans and experts are beginning to wonder whether Canelo's new size is legit or is something hidden is helping him prepare for the big fight. They're asking if this is just training or something more powerful in the background.
If for a 30-year-old, right, you remember, your body grows, men's body can grow in height and length up until to the extreme in your 20s. By the time you're 20, your height and all that stuff is there, right? Your height and your length. In your mid-20s, by the time you're 29, your musculature is pretty much there. It gets harder to gain and put on muscle after 30. So Canelo Alvarez is about to fight a guy that is going to put on 20 pounds of muscle.
Joe Rogan's comments about Canelo Alvarez have started serious talk in the fight world. As someone who studied sports performance for years, Rogan said it's odd to see someone grow that much muscle after turning 30. He reminded people that building size naturally becomes harder with age, but Canelo seems to be doing the opposite. Rogan didn't just guess, he called it science. He said it's nearly impossible to make that kind of change without outside help, and when someone with Rogan's knowledge says it, people take notice.
Canelo, man, I don't know if he's cheating.
What do you mean?
I feel like Canelo juices. But I'm a Triple G fan, so I'm a say that ahead of time. I just like Triple G.
There's a lot of money on the line, and if I could get away with it, I would do it as well.
Some tainted beefs.
I think, well, he definitely got busted once for something, but it could have been from tainted beef. We don't know. But it also could be that, we should probably leave them the alone and let them do whatever they want to do. Do you want to see Manny Pacquiao fight or not? Right? I want to see him juiced up, fighting at 45 years of age, coming in with a full six-pack, lighting people on fire.
As the showdown between Canelo and Crawford gets closer, fans and analysts are talking louder about possible steroid use. Many say it wouldn't surprise them if Canelo was using something to boost performance. Their reasoning, he has access to top gyms, food experts, doctors, and recovery tools, everything money can buy. And when a fighter has unlimited resources and pressure to stay on top, the temptation to cheat becomes real. Critics think the people around Canelo make it easy for him to use banned substances without getting caught right away.
What up, everybody? It's your boy MC from MCTV. I wouldn't be surprised if Canelo Alvarez is on steroids right now as we speak and is going to be fully juiced with something that hasn't even hit the market yet. Think about it. He's pretty much a billionaire. He has access to everything.
Floyd Mayweather has never stayed quiet, especially when it comes to Canelo Alvarez. He's brought up the topic of steroids before and says most people are too scared to talk about it. Floyd believes there's a double standard in boxing. Some fighters get grilled, others get protected. He thinks Canelo falls into that safe zone. According to Floyd, many in the business like promoters and networks look the other way because Canelo is a moneymaker. But Floyd says it's not just cheating, is dangerous and ruins the fairness of boxing.
But what we don't talk about is, Canelo. Steroids. Y'all don't talk about that. So we don't know. We really don't know all the fighters he beat. He could have been not clean in a lot of fights.
As the fight between Canelo and Crawford gets closer, it's not just experts throwing around steroid claims fans are clashing too. Crawford supporters are questioning Canelo's strength and size, while Canelo fans point fingers at Bud's stamina at a higher weight. Things got so heated that both sides agreed to full drug testing before the bout. These tests aren't just for the officials, they're for the public. The fact that both fighters felt pressure to prove their clean shows just how much trust is missing from today's boxing world.
Strictly and consistently doing random VADA testing in order to silence each other's fan base and their critics ahead of their showdown this September. Now, despite this being a normal thing, the gravity of this fight brings in more attention to their test results, partly due to the fact that suspicion regarding both men have been up as of lately. Namely, Crawford's sudden bulk and jump to 168 and his close relationship with Snack and Victor Conti. And of course, the recent PED scandals being associated with Team Canelo, as well as him once testing positive for clenbuterol 7 years ago due to contaminated meat. With that said, both men have been doing random testing since June and will undergo strict and consistent random tests up until they finally meet next month. Now, it's worth remembering that despite all the recent allegations for Canelo and Crawford, both fighters have been consistent.
Canelo Alvarez didn't always have the body he does now. In the early years of his career, he was smaller, faster, and looked more like a welterweight. But now he's gone through a major transformation. He's not just fighting bigger men, he's overpowering them. That dramatic change has caused people to question how he bulked up so well. Some say it's top-tier training and dedication. Others aren't buying it. They say at his age, with the demands of boxing, it seems unlikely he got there without a little help.
But I think you gotta lean more towards Canelo because, like I said before, he been putting big guys out and down. And Canelo not even really a 68-pounder. He probably really should be at 60 maybe. And he been hurting these guys. I think he be dropping these guys and things like that. So, and them guys be way bigger than him come fight night. I know that for sure. They be probably close to 200 pounds, and he dropping those guys like that. So, I don't know. It's gonna be a great fight. The fans want to see it. So, so be it. I think Crawford should take a warm-up fight, at like 60 or like at least at 60, just to get his body, to fill into somebody a little bit bigger, and things like that. I know when you go up a weight, you gotta, develop that power and not develop the power, but like put that muscle on and be heavier and things like that. So he might not want to take a fight because he's trying to build up right now. But I think he should just to stay sharp and that way he don't have like a long layoff or anything like that.
Nico Ali Walsh, the grandson of boxing icon Muhammad Ali, shared some thoughtful views about Crawford's plan to face a bigger fighter like Canelo. Walsh said Crawford isn't walking into danger without thinking he's training smart. He's been sparring with much bigger men to get used to the pressure and power that Canelo brings. Walsh sees this not just as gutsy, but smart. He believes great fighters take risks, and Bud is preparing in a way that could give him the edge. Crawford's team isn't guessing, they're planning every move.
People with Canelo before Canelo's last fight, but then after Canelo's last fight, it seems like it's more 50-50 now. So everything is just the build up for that fight is just going to be absolutely magnetizing. Like that fight, it's garnered so much more buzz after Canelo's last fight, and Bud is Bud. He's one of the greatest fighters in boxing history. He is one of the greatest fighters in boxing history. So it's going to be a fight. It's going to be awesome to watch.
Have you sparred any of them?
I haven't sparred Bud yet. I haven't been in Canelo's camp. I've met Canelo a few times. I love Canelo's team. Canelo's one of my favorite fighters. He's been my favorite fighter for the longest time. But I have to be Team Bud because me and Bud are cool, and I have so much belief in Bud, and I know who he is as a fighter. He is one of the greats. So he could do anything he wants.
And being around both of them and seeing how they work and train and things like that, what makes both of them the fighters they are, in your opinion?
I've watched Bud, so for Bud in particular, he's calm in everything he does, and that kind of calm is scary to watch because it shows experience. You can see that he's been doing this for decades. You can see it with his shadow boxing. You can see it.
Trusted boxing writer Dan Rafael gave a clear reason why Crawford wants this fight. It's not about cash, it's about making history. Rafael says Crawford wants to be remembered not just as a champ, but as someone who took the biggest risks. This fight isn't built for comfort, it's built for legacy. But Rafael knows it won't be easy. Beating Canelo takes more than skills. It takes perfection. One wrong step could ruin everything. From ring strategy to physical toughness, Crawford has to be sharp in every round.
I think Terence Crawford is a marvelous boxer, arguably the best in the world, pound for pound. But can you hurt Canelo? If you can't hurt him, I have no doubt he could outbox him. My issue is, if you can't hurt him, what kind of a challenge can you truly pose? What do you say to that?
No, that's a great point. I mean, here's the thing. Canelo Alvarez has a historically great chin. Now, I go back way back when he first came to the United States and started boxing, and he found himself on an HBO pay-per-view undercard years and years ago, fighting against the older brother of the great Miguel Cotto. His name was Jose Miguel Cotto, and he had gotten a ton of hype. He had signed with Golden Boy Promotions, and a lot of those of us in the media. And I had seen him a couple of times before that. This is my first time seeing him in person, really paying close attention. And he almost got knocked out in the first round. And I remember Stephen A., all of us looking around at Media Row going, what the heck is this all hype about? This man can't take a shot. He's going to get drilled. He was lucky that the fight was over, that the round was over in round one, or there might have been some much more trouble. Stephen A., that was like, I don't know, 16, 17 years ago. I've never seen him wobbled, rocked, physically, visibly hurt since then. He has an all-time great chin going in the ring with tremendous punchers. Terence Crawford coming up 2 weight classes. Do any damage? Yeah, he's a slick boxer, and he's also a good puncher in the welterweight division, in the junior welterweight division, in the lightweight division. But even at junior middleweight, which is where Terence Crawford had his most recent fight back in August, when he moved up and he won a world title, he didn't blow the doors off. He fought a very tough, solid opponent named Israel Madrimov. He gave him a good fight. It was very close. Madrimov's people seem to think he might have even been able to edge it out. But if you can't hurt an Israel Madrimov at 154, what the heck are you going to do with Canelo Alvarez, the sturdiest guy in the world, at 168? So that aspect of it is certainly a problem. You mentioned about Charlo. Charlo was there to get his check. I know one thing about Terence Crawford. He's not going to just come to turn up to get the check. He'll at least try. And Charlo, I don't think, really tried.
What makes Terence Crawford special is that he controls fights without using raw power. He doesn't try to overpower opponents. He breaks them down with smart moves, timing, and skill. Whether he's an orthodox or southpaw stance, Crawford sets the rhythm and forces others to react. This makes life hard for fighters like Canelo, who rely on strength. Even though Canelo is bigger and hits harder, Crawford's smart use of space and footwork balances the fight. His plan will likely be to stay safe and pick smart shots. His unpredictability may be Canelo's biggest problem.
Weight bullies, it's somebody whose style is based around being the bigger guy, being the stronger guy. But Crawford is a very cerebral, very technical boxer, and I think that's why I'd never really considered this before. But also, I didn't actually realize until I sat down properly and thought about this, just how much weight Crawford has been piling on when he gets into the ring after the weigh-in. And look, these are not numbers that are out of the ordinary, but he's obviously cutting himself down so much in camp from whatever his walking around weight is. And it must be muscle that he's taking off. And perhaps that's why he's only fighting once a year, because there will be some fat, of course there will be, but the dude is not overweight. The dude still looks pretty ripped from what I've seen when he's not in training camp. However, there's not that many photos of him with his top off when he's not actually in training camp. So it's really hard to tell what his body composition is when he's walking around at these big weights. But the fact is, his fight night weight was 169 let's just call it 170 pounds, which is huge, absolutely huge for a 154 pounder, especially. It's just shocked me that he's come up from 135 and now he's still putting on that much weight. He's rehydrating that much at 154. And indeed, to bring us even closer to the modern day, the thing that was posted, and again, this is the second time we've seen this, is why I'm kind of thinking there's a bit of a theme here with Crawford posting his weight when he's not actually in full training camp. On February the 9th, 2025, he posted an Instagram story and he showed himself weighing 186 pounds on a gym scale. Now, that's so much bigger than I imagined Crawford would be. I never thought this guy would walk around at 186 pounds, which for anyone who needs the conversion is just over 84 kilograms. And now look, it's not an unthinkable weight for someone, but for someone who has fought as low as Crawford has, who is generally as lean and as in shape as Crawford is, that's a lot of weight.
Marcus Brown, who's watched Crawford up close in the gym, isn't worried at all about Canelo's size. He says Crawford has already sparred plenty of bigger guys, some as big as heavyweights, and handled himself with no problem. Brown says this gives but a quiet confidence most people don't see. He's used to taking harder punches and still following his plan. Brown also shared that Crawford stays calm and sharp during training, never showing panic. That mental toughness could be the key to surviving Canelo's power shots.